Hello, thanks for the good question and the kind words. Let me preface this by saying I'm not an expert in psychology. I've read around a little bit, but I want to throw the question out to everyone else out there. Do you have any favorite books on psychology that you would recommend to people? For me, I learned the most from my wife, who is a therapist and very good at this stuff and well studied. And I know she always says the body keeps the score, number one. Haven't read it yet, shame to say, but I know it's her first answer. So I'll ask her for other books, and you can let me know in the comments what books you would recommend. Maybe we'll do a second video. But there's some more to recommend. There's other famous authors you can check out, like Malcolm Gladwell, who I think is very much worth reading. There's some pushback against him these last few years, but I think that happens just because you're successful. I found his books interesting and helpful. The other one that is famous and interesting is Steven Pinker. He's always a little bit thick and I think a bit insufferable as a person, but I think the books are worth reading. But if you want someone who's a sweet genius of a character, if you haven't been reading Oliver Sacks, for one, his writing is so good that college English classes study his writing. But he is an MD, he's a doctor who does some research. And basically, if you've seen the movie Awakenings, that character that Robin Williams played was based on Oliver Sacks. And he was simply a doctor who would go in and listen to his patients and got famous for being able to talk to people with the strangest of neurological disorders. This is more about the brain than the mind, wherever that line. But just like this guy who mistook his wife for a hat. So he, in most of his books, he talks about people with very intriguing neurological disorders and what that teaches us about the brain and the mind and ourselves. His autobiography is also just a beautiful piece of work. It turns out the whole time that he was doing a lot of this, he was secretly a closeted gay man, and he was doing a lot of drugs, and he's very honest about this in this autobiography. And for me, that meant a lot as someone in recovery. And so he's just one of the clearest, best, most sweetheart writers. I think he's a big, shy guy, and he just wrote all of these great books over the years. I'm going to recommend this one because it's the first one I ever read, and it is one of his most famous. It's just a bunch of clinical tales, very simply written, but he has one on music. He has, just look up his name and grab whatever book appeals to you the most. But I plan I hope to read everything he wrote before I die. We'll see. I could be dead on this next plane flight, so you take what you can get and read as many books as you can this life, and then read the ones you can't in the next life. So anyway, there's some psychology books. Let me know if you have any to share as well.